Hey, this is a podcast. No, wait, it's a comedy podcast. Well, we tried to make it a comedy podcast, and it's not meant to offend anyone. So don't get offended, okay? And wait, there's something else. Oh, yeah, yeah. Listener discretion is advised.
Audiomatic presents Our Last Week.
Hi, Kunal.
Hi, Bal.
So, before we started the podcast, we were talking about a video that's gone viral across India of a Bengali cluster head of a private bank.
রাহুল ভার্মা 12টা স্মার্ট অ্যাকাউন্ট 10টা শিওর কভার 10টা হেলথ কভার বাংলা ভাষা বলে দিলাম
হয়ে যাবে
বিশ্বনাথ দে ছবি দেখা খবর দেখা
আছি তো।
দেখতে পাচ্ছি না কথা বল
হ্যাঁ বলছি বস।
নেক্সট 20 দিন তোকে দেবো আর দুজন আরবিএইচ কে দেবো যথেষ্ট টাইম আমি ওখানে দিয়েছি যথেষ্ট বোঝানো আমার হয়ে গেছে বল লাস্ট দুদিনে কটা সেভিংস অ্যাকাউন্ট কটা কারেন্ট অ্যাকাউন্ট খুলেছিস বল
So he was a manager, a sales manager, and he had a team. And the reason the video has gone viral is because he started shouting at his team. And everyone said it's a example of a toxic workplace. Normally, as a cluster head, I guess your job would be to find out, are you meeting your targets or not meeting your targets?
Right.
And he just did that in a slightly more aggressive kind of way. He sort of was like, whatever, John Gomes! You want me to come there and kill you? You want me to kill you? Where are your targets? It was like that. And people didn't like it. They said that is no way to be a team leader. There was also another guy, some Bhaumik, some Debashish, Biswajit, something, and he kept telling him, Thobda dekha, which is show your face, show your face. And the guy said you met these targets, etc. And you didn't. You were bullshitting me or whatever. And he can't abuse because he's a corporate employee. So he kept saying, do you think I'm a C? Do you think I'm a C? I guess he wanted to suggest that, do you think I'm a complete truth? I think that's what he wanted to say. But he, as the company, has HR policies. So he kept saying, you think I'm a C? You think I'm a C? Now, you said that we were talking about how obviously this is inappropriate or whatever. But you said something interesting, which is, as many firms, companies are now on social media saying this is the perfect sign of a toxic boss. You were saying that this is he could get hired also. I mean, this doesn't have to be like some would look at this as a positive.
See, I think publicly, every company's stand is going to be, oh God, this is the worst thing. This is toxic. This is the worst environment. We don't stand for this kind of abuse. But secretly, everyone will be calling him and saying, when can you start? When can you join us? because their bosses are shouting at them, where are your managers? They are also getting the same shit from their own team. Maybe not in such harsh words, but they will be watching this guy and salivating. They'll be like, wow, we need someone like this who can just abuse people and scare them into meeting their targets. I think he's going to get a lot of job opportunities in our country, at least.
When I was in sales, I used to be in sales for a corporate a long time ago.
Right.
And the sales head, because the sales deadlines would be Friday or something, because you have to
Right.
track the sales. And on Thursday, I've often seen the sales head like go up to a junior sales guy and say, I'm going to bash you up. If this sales don't come in, I'm going to bash you up. Now, these things never got reported to HR.
Yeah.
And there's a larger theory that basically we never outgrow school in India. Like you're always sort of in school. You know, so if you went home as a junior salesperson with an injury, with a gash, with a bleeding injury, and someone said, "What happened?" And you said, "My area cluster manager punched me in the face," your family would understand.
They'd get it.
You know, they would.
In fact, they'd blame you. You know, because
Yeah.
that guy's looked at like the teacher. Definitely, he did something wrong. I told you, don't take a 3-hour lunch break. You know, it'll be that kind of thing. Only eat in 15 minutes and come back to your desk. But I mean, I find this work culture quite interesting, as in it's quite. I mean, and you can hear it in the telephone calls that you receive. You know, which as you were mentioning now have started getting more and more varied, from just cars and property and mutual funds. Now they've gotten into more specific things, no? Like, would you like to buy a fan or a photo frame? It's like become now much smaller, no? Like I was getting ones for roll-on DOs. You got one just now for high tension cables. So these calls, these
High tension
salespeople,
cable.
they, yeah,
And see, the even weirder things happen in Calcutta, which don't happen in Bombay. Like, for example, some guy was trying to sell my mum some bamboos, like literally bamboos. So, my mom said, "I don't have any construction work right now. I don't need any bamboos." So, what he did was, there was some AC work going on in the house where there were two AC guys from Urban Clap who were balancing off the ledge of the house. So, this bamboo guy did a demonstration. He set up his own bamboos next to the AC guys, attached it to the house to make a case to say, you know, "Madam, please take my bamboos. It'll be so much easier for your AC guys. See, I've already set up the bamboos." And he stood on those bamboos as well, which is
now
the
that's
new
good
kind
sales.
of direct marketing.
but that's good sales now. That is
Right?
proper sales. Yeah, that's pretty
He-
good.
He set up the bamboo. So now I'm saying that in the age of Pushpal Roy, you know,
Yeah.
like obviously he's getting pressure. Like someone shouting at him also. You know, someone's telling him,
Yeah.
"You shut up, Pushpal Roy.
Yeah.
Your Calcutta is lagging behind. I'll come there. I'll rip your throat out." Someone's telling him that also.
Yeah.
And he's saying it to his guy. Now all these junior sales guys are going home and saying it to their children.
Yeah.
You know, and those children on class 7 and 8 and going and beating up some children in kindergarten. You know, so I'm saying the bullying is a cascading effect. And sales has now gotten into a point where I'll call you for anything. You know, like if I have your number, I'll call you for whatever. You know, like, "Sir, I'm not using this pair of scissors. You want to buy some scissors?" It's like, it's Sunday night at 1 in the morning. Why you call? So it's just, you know, people are like invasion of privacy and stuff. In India, it's like, if I have your number, I'm calling you.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec, Kirk. I think the bamboo guy is actually outside my window.
Oh.
1 sec.
I think he came for his. I think he came for his money from the
I
window.
He's come. He's now trying to break
He
into
knocked
the
on your
house.
window. He knocked
So
on your
he-
window saying, "Sab paisa baki hai."
It's come to that now, where people are building their own parapets, selling it, and then demanding money for a parapet that they
From
built.
that parapet.
From the parapet outside the window. This is the first extortion case on a podcast in the history of the
Yeah.
world. First conundrum has to do with a news article I read in the New York Times about a totally nude dinner party. So this is starting. It's just started in it's a thing in going on in Brooklyn.
And as it's not a restaurant, it's a dinner party. Like you mingle with people.
It's a full dinner party. It's about 10, 12 couples at a dinner party. And the only requirement is you have to be totally nude.
Yeah, so the thing is that, like, at least for me, like, I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
for me, I think that I need like the clothes or the conversation is generally a distraction from my physical appearance, right? Like
Yes,
it's like it's like so that basically I wear clothes so that you don't have to look at my body. A lot of people
exactly.
have very nice bodies, and it's fine because it but I'm saying that in our case, like and a lot of people buy expensive watches, expensive phones, dark glasses, hats, designer wear, also as sort of like embellishments too. They might even have like physically be very beautiful, but these are like sort of like little jewels and embellishments on their body to also kind of distract and show status and show, this is who I am, this is this is how much I earn, or these are the things I like, this is my aesthetic. I think without any clothes on,
Yeah,
it becomes difficult. I mean, you do get down to, I mean, it would be difficult. I don't know what kind of conversations you could have. You could talk politics. You could talk, like state of the world,
that's what
great
they're
places to eat.
expecting.
That's what they're expecting. But I think for the first 20 minutes, the conversation might be about clothes. It
I mean,
might
and
just be about the
also,
benefits of
I mean,
clothes.
I've got a big belly, and I don't.
Hmm.
I mean, there's a reason clothes were invented. Like, I wear a lot of loose clothes just
Hmm.
so that I don't have to go to a dinner party and talk about, like the host and hostess of this American couple saying, "We want you to be totally free." But
Hmm.
I don't find clothes, not having clothes, freeing. I
Hmm.
find having clothes freeing.
Yeah.
They said, we want you to be very comfortable with someone else's breasts or somebody's penis. That's what we were. But I'm fundamentally not comfortable with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets very difficult for people to look beyond certain physical things,
Yeah,
like it can be it like say it's my stomach or your stomach or my breasts.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very difficult for other people to look beyond it, you know
And be like, oh, the soup is very good. Like,
yeah. And in fact, for us, it's very difficult for us also to look beyond our stomachs.
yeah. That's why we haven't looked at each other in a long time.
Yeah. I think the good thing that would happen out of this is that people would stop, by wearing very expensive sneakers, nonsense handbags, 45,000 rupee t-shirt, 8 lakh rupee underwear. I like the fact that, they don't have the choice. They can't wear 5 lakh rupee sneakers to this thing because you have to be completely naked. So
Nude.
then, yeah. So then I don't know where to place you exactly. The good thing is that I don't know exactly what you're into, what you're not into, what kind of person you are, what your style is. It's a good and bad thing, I guess. But I'm just trying to think of the conversation, and
As a digression, just very quickly, I didn't realize that basically some French and Italian companies have kind of created a world where, like, I go to airports a lot, and I
hmm,
see these at airports, all this Louis
hmm,
Vuitton, Bali. So they've all created this market, I guess, of
hmm,
nonsense products that cost ridiculous amounts of money. Like, I didn't know that there are Gucci bags and stuff which are upwards of 4-5 lakhs. Like, they've
much more
created
than
it.
that.
Oh wow,
Much more
okay.
than that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow. So they
I
have
mean, there are
created
there
an.
are shoes that there are sneakers that we're
Mhm.
supposed to run in and play sports in and all that cost 10 lakhs and 15 lakhs for little sneakers. You know what I can't bring myself to spend over like 2,500, 3,000 rupees for, because I have to ultimately run in it, or I have to do some squats or whatever it is, and they have to last at least a year and a half on my feet. People spend a lot of money on these things because now they've become a design thing. They're like, oh, look at the design of this, it's so beautiful, or it's so. I've always thought that if any item can become designer, you know, like if it's shoes, like Keds have a very specific purpose, right? Like sneakers have a very specific purpose. They have to be comfortable, and you're supposed to be able to do a good amount of physical activity in it. Should be able to walk, run, jog, or if you play a sport or whatever it is, basketball, whatever you want to do, tennis. They have very specific purpose. Now tomorrow, why can't it happen with jock straps? Why can't it
Yeah.
happen with something that's very specific? Like toasters. Like, oh, this is a designer toaster, and then people get into toasters, or this is um like, because already it's happening with watches, it's happening with clothes. But I think, and it happens with furniture as well, like, oh, this is a designer piece of furniture, it costs so much, this designer's only made so much. For me, the furniture firstly needs to be comfortable. It needs to be just comfortable and pleasing to look at. Now beyond that, it doesn't serve much of a purpose in terms of, like, yeah, it's a beautiful design, I love well made things, well crafted things, but I mean, there's a logical end to this. Like, it can't be foolish, right?
No wonder that there are families that want to go nude
Yeah.
because they can't keep up with this. And the
Yes.
reason is that every one of these companies has a Pushpal Roy who's meeting his sales targets by shouting at people saying, why can't you sell 5
Sell
toasters?
this microwave. Sell this microwave.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like,
I'll come
then
and
they have
fuck
to
you
come
up
with-
over there.
I'll fuck you up. How can you not sell this microwave? And then they have to do things like, it's a Louis Vuitton microwave. Now I'm saying that it doesn't have anything to do with anything, right? Like, Louis Vuitton makes suitcases. What are they doing making sneakers? Next they'll be doing cars also. The engine of the car is by Louis Vuitton. So now, and this is a problem I've had with many things. And just because both people are a brand, like, then anything can tie up with anything, and I'm still supposed to buy into this shit. Like, I'm saying, now there's this box of Nivea cream in front of me. Okay. Now say Nivea cream started making tires.
Yes.
Okay. And he said, like, oh, but Nivea cream is making these tires now. It doesn't make, I mean, like, oh, it's MRF has come together with Nivea and they're making tires. What sense does it make? And people will be like, I have the special edition Nivea tires. It's like, so what do I do? What is it? Like, it just says Nivea on the side. So what?
So, like, for example, I don't know if I would be a big buyer of Adidas orange juice. Let's say Adidas or Adidas, however it's pronounced, did a collaboration with, say, raw pressery orange juice,
Yes.
and said, the smooth feeling of that shoe, now get in
Yeah.
your morning orange juice.
Yeah.
And people would be like, remember Adidas, the shoes? Yeah. Remember orange juice? It's just like that
It's
only.
just that.
And people go for it.
They buy
You're
it.
saying you wouldn't go for it.
No, I wouldn't go for it. No.
I'm with
I
you.
would find
I'm
it
with
difficult.
you a little bit, because the
Yeah.
whole time I'd be drinking the orange juice, I'd be wondering what it has to do with the shoe. But it's happening everywhere. Look at technology. Apple is
Yeah.
supposed to make phones and laptops. They're making movies.
That's true. Amazon is supposed
You know-
to be just sell you chappals, but now they have Patal Lok and all that stuff on it.
They have a strong say in gangster stories in Bundelkhand.
In
So-
Bundelkhand, yeah.
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 So tomorrow, if you decide to become a bamboo salesman in Calcutta and make a parapet behind my house and demand money, there's nothing stopping you actually.
Yeah.
So maybe what you've realized is what all of us need in our lives is a Pushpal Roy shouting in our ear.
Yeah. So let's get into a break.
Yeah, let's do a break. This is a break.
This is the break.
This is a break.
Welcome to the break.
What was it earlier? Not a break.
That was not a break.
This is a break. During this break, we would like to advertise a product.
What should we advertise?
Hands.
Hands. Yeah.
Hands. Without it,
It's a little tougher.
it's difficult.
Yeah.
Get hands.
Yeah.
Live life to the fullest. So, if you don't want to listen to shit ads like this,
Don't listen to these ads.
do something with your life.
Yeah.
Go to patreon.com,
Yeah.
where you will not have to listen to us talking nonsense.
Yeah, and you don't have to listen to this garbage part of the podcast.
This garbage part. You can listen to other garbage parts of the podcast.
and you can listen to it ad free.
for you to be on Patreon, get special episodes, merchandise, live shows,
Yep.
and many other benefits.
It's
Go to
garbage.
patreon.com /
our last week.
bye.
Bye.
Now I'll talk for another hour, Kunal, so people switch off immediately.
I think we can just do a low hum over here during the ad break.
Shall I read the Hanuman Chalisa?
No. That because that'll get offensive.
Yeah.
Offend.
Yeah. To religious and non-religious people.
And to people with ears.
Exactly. Yeah. Khan. Zarurat hai. That should be an ad for Spotify. Khan. Leke aaye. Kunal, quick conundrum.
Yes.
Is there an age after which if you go shopping for a wedding as a groom, it's embarrassing?
I think there is a certain age where it gets a little confusing for the people who are catering, like to the shopkeepers, because they get a little confused as to who's getting married. That can be a confusing. Like after a certain point, post your mid 30s, 40s, I guess 45, you stop looking groom-like. I mean, generally people in our country get married very young, right? I mean, everyone's in their 20s, early 30s. So generally for them it could be a little confusing, but
If you remember the big sort of places where I guess grooms go in India are shops like Manyavar. They sell wedding outfits for grooms. It's a lot of kurtas and that kind of thing. And
Yes.
there's a shop called Raymond's.
course.
They sell lots of these Indian wedding coats. And recently I went with a friend of mine who's getting married at 53. This is
Okay.
his third marriage. And it was him, his mother, who's in her 80s, and me. It's not a typical wedding combo.
no.
So when you go to a Manyavar or you go to a Raymond's or any of these shops, the expectation is it'll be the groom, the groom's mother, the bride, maybe the bride's mother or father. Now when a 53-year-old man shows up with his 83-year-old mother and another 47-year-old man, and the shop's first question is, groom kaun hai? And the oldest man says, main hoon, and nobody else says anything. The shop still wants to make the sale,
Of course.
because they also have a Pushpal Roy sitting on top shouting
Yeah.
at them. They want to make the sale. But the downside is that they also have a lot of questions. Like, how did you get here in life at 53? And he looks like a 53-year-old man also. They want to ask a lot of general questions like, so what's the story here? But they can't. They just have to measure you and pretend like it's your first wedding.
Yeah. They want to really get inquisitive and figure out what the deal is, but I guess
And do you think India would be a happier country if we were not so reserved? If the guy measuring you for your band gala, which is your wedding coat, if it's like, so, at 53, huh? So what's the story, sir? What's the story? So because the groom is also dying to tell it.
yeah.
Because nobody else is asking him, I'm his only friend who's gone. He's also a little embarrassed to tell other people. He'll do it right before the wedding.
Yeah.
So there's generally a sense of like defeat. Like, I feel like in India, there's a lot of pressure for couples between the ages of 20 and 30. Parents and relatives, they really fuck with you. But if you can cross that barrier, it's like going through a period of turbulence. If your plane can come out of that, then nobody cares.
Then it's like people have like given up on you. They're like, अरे अभी उसका क्या है, उसको जो होना है उसके साथ हो जाएगा, that kind of thing. They're like, हाँ उसका भी time निकल गया है. So like people think of marriage or finding a life partner or a family as a time-bound thing. Whereas actually it isn't, right? I mean, you could do it at any age if you have the drive, the motivation, the person to do it with.
Uska time nikal gaya is a great line.
Yeah. वो अलग zone में है.
Especially with women, it's almost like the fruit has ripened or something. It's like, Arey, but I mean, I'm a lady, I found love at 42. What is your problem?
Yeah.
Or I found it at 19 or 61. What is your problem? But I think if you can take the relatives to that point where they lose interest, that's the best place to take it.
I think that in India, because we've taken love out of the equation with arranged marriages, you know, like they figure that listen, this love and all, you're going to look for it all your life. You have in your head what is good, what is bad. It's too specific what your idea of love is and your person to love is. So we're just going to put these two people together. They have some commonality because they belong to the same community. Obviously, we eat similar kind of food. We talk similar kind of language. And then they'll figure it out. They might not even love each other, but they'll care for each other, and then they'll be there, and they'll have more children, and then the community will go on. That is the priority.
So
right?
in
The
India,
priority
it's
is
just
not
to
you
put
and
two
your
people
love.
together. Yeah. It's
like-
to put
it's like
any
why-
two people together.
Yeah, just like these two people, yeah, they're similar, they're similar sort of background, they'll be fine together. The thing is that they've taken the individual out of it. The individual, the individual's choice, likes, preferences.
Yeah.
It's like, listen, you can't get into all this. This is like, because now, you like knitting, but he doesn't like knitting, and you like traveling, he does like, it's all rubbish. This you'll figure out some shit. Love and all that stuff, you'll end up loving that person when he does something nice for you and you do something nice for him, and then you all sleep together, and then that is the end. That is it. That's all you need to know about this. Then you'll figure it. So that's the general attitude, right? I mean,
You've
that's
cracked
the
it. You've
attitude.
cracked it. That's why there is disinterest in people in their 40s or 50s getting married, because it's out of love. So there's no
Yeah.
interest in that.
There's no
There's-
interest
and-
in it.
Because there are two people who fell in love in their 40s. That's uninteresting. Because these two individuals chose each other. Indians only want to have a say when they can connect two entities.
Yeah. And then it's always like, now we'll see this journey of these two random people who barely know each other, but who will be forced to stay together. There will be a lot that will come out of this relationship, the children, the struggles of the relationship. He'll end up being gay, but he'll have to stay in the marriage, or he won't be interested in her. But they'll have to stay together. So it's a lifetime of being together and gossip and whatever it is. Might even be the most banal sort of wedding, but at least they don't have a choice. They just have to be together. We're not giving them the option of separating also. Whereas in a love marriage, or where people are a little bit more picky, and they have the option to separate, and they don't give a shit about what their community or society or their family thinks, and they just want to do their own thing. It's less interesting for people, I think.
Yeah.
It's less
Because here
interesting.
it's like an HR placement. You've done
I
an
tell you why,
HR
because
placement.
you've stepped out of community, right? You, by not doing this within the community, by doing your own choice and this thing, you're already out of the community circle. Now, whatever you do, you have children, don't have children, you do whatever you want, you're not in this community circle anymore. You don't belong to this. So,
You're playing some game of your own.
your
So it
own.
doesn't interest.
You have decided not to be a part of this, so then go now, do your own thing.
Do you play your game? Here,
Play your
what
game.
they've done is that we've done an HR placement, and we want to know eventually whether you'll resign or you'll be
Yeah.
CEO.
Correct.
So that's why that very popular arranged marriage Netflix program,
yeah.
the Seema Taparia, the lady who's become a celebrity, her
Right.
question when she's introducing two prospective couples is always, what is your criteria?
Yeah.
It's not what are your likes and dislikes. It is what is your criteria.
Because she's broken it down.
Yeah.
See, I think that what she's understood is that we actually ultimately have criteria only. Don't come with the garb of all this other shit. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your criteria honestly is this now, that he earns so much money, that he looks this way, that he or this is his lifestyle, or it's honestly criteria. If you've come to me and you're looking for an arranged marriage, then clearly there's criteria. Don't come to me I'm looking for the love of my life. That person might end up being the love of your life, but as in, I'm providing a matching service where I'm looking, like I have to look at it, I have to ask for criteria only. What else do I ask for?
Yeah. It's like when you go on a holiday, you hire a travel agent, right? Like you don't pick a destination on the globe and say, I'll go there and see if I fall in love with it. Then don't
Right.
go to a travel agent.
Yeah.
A travel agent will say, okay, 3-star hotel, this one, this flight, this one. You know, like that's the best they can do.
Yeah.
I think what the world of marriages needs is a Pushpal Roy.
Yes.
So if there's someone saying I want to fall in love,
Gets
etc.,
the
you
job
need
done.
Pushpal Roy to be like, shut up, get married. I want you married by Friday.
Yeah.
Very quick final conundrum, Kunal.
Yes.
The theatre world lost a very famous director recently. His name was Amir Raza Hussain. I knew him a little bit, but you work with him a lot.
Yes.
And he was known for these grand productions. He was based out of Delhi,
Yes.
and he was also regular in films. He had a very crisp British accent. It's a lovely sort of man doing epic productions. But it got us conversing about certain directors, especially at the school and college level. It's a dying breed of person in India, but when we were children in the 80s and 90s, these sorts of people were quite popular. And they were doing usually a school play or an amateur production. But they would treat it like they are making 1,000 crore film. You know, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll give you one quick example, and then I'd love to hear if you encountered people like this. But my example had to do with a theatre company called Red Curtain in Calcutta, and there was a theatre director lady. She's passed away, and she basically was doing a production of some Shakespeare thing that we were all in. So automatically, Shakespeare, Calcutta, you've cut the crowd down significantly. You're doing it in English. So you'll only get a few posh people to come and watch. But she rehearsed like she was doing the next Avatar or Jaws, or you know, like we were rehearsing 6-7 hours a day. And there was one day where the communists had declared a Bandh with shoot at sight orders. Shoot at sight. And she said, rehearsal is at 7. I don't care whether it's shoot at sight. I want you there at 7. My mother had to call and apologize and beg if I could get a day of rehearsal because she didn't want her son shot at sight. And I'm wondering if you in Bombay growing up had any similar experiences with people like this, for whom, and the smaller the production, the more demanding the director.
The thing is that I mean with Amir Raza also I did the 50-day war play, and then we were going to do the film, and there was an incident where but again, for him and for many directors while I was growing up as well, whether it was school or amateur, professional, whatever, no matter what it was, that play seemed, and they made it seem to you also. It's not like they did believe, but ultimately you did buy into that dream. You know that this is the most important thing in the world right now.
In the whole
You know,
world.
in the whole world, and then you'd look at everything else as a sub important thing, like trains running, buses flying, people going to work.
Food.
This is all meaningless. It's all happening because of this play. You know, because of this 7-character show.
Yeah.
Where, listen, I have to get the right color of this costume or whatever, this backdrop or whatever it is. It becomes very, very important in your life at that point. And it's nice, but the director is the one who's driving that sort of passion into you, and that sort of like, this is the pinnacle of everything. And also you'd get the sense that you're doing very high form of art over here. You know, that this is a very refined version of because you're buying into the stories, you're buying into the legend of, you're buying into the way in which this information is percolating down to you. You just buy into the whole world, and you just feel like you're doing something very important. And I think that people must have experienced this working with different kinds of things, but I think it happens more so in the theater, and it's more obvious when the show is finally performed. You know, I think that by the end of the show, people still, like, when as an actor or as someone who's behind the scenes as well, you still feel like it's very important. You know, you
And
still feel like,
typically-
because you're young, you're
And
impressionable.
typically, don't you find that, like the play I was doing was in an 80-seater,
Right.
And it was a obscure Shakespeare adaptation, etc., for 3 nights, and she
Yeah.
demanded 8 months of rehearsal. Right? And in hindsight, you're like, of course, 8 months of rehearsal is a basic.
Of
You know,
course
like,
it would be needed.
and in comparison, let's say if you ran into, say, Shah Rukh Khan, during that rehearsal process, in your
Yeah.
head, because you've been brainwashed by this director, you think, oh, what does he know of entertainment?
What does he know? What has he done? You know? What has he really done in his whole life?
I've got this.
I
I've got
have
this
been
coming up.
rehearsing for 4 months, you know, and
Yeah.
this is coming out. We're doing it at this coffee shop first, and then we're going to the 80-seater after that. This is gonna be big shit, and it's big. You know, even if it's not popular, it's very big. And whoever sees it, they're golden people. You know, these golden people will appreciate it. and this is so basically that those moments of, you know, those 8 months or those 3 months or whatever you're rehearsing for, you feel like even if the venue that you're performing at, even if it's a multi-use venue, everything else they do is irrelevant.
Not
That show
relevant.
there for that 2 hours on one day of the year, that is the most important thing that's going to happen in this space. This space should be happy that we are doing this here. You know,
And that-
whether it's a
and the
bookshop
lady,
or a
the-
coffee shop,
the-
it's all irrelevant. These guys don't allow us to just move a few shelves this way and just break that one wall. I mean, what are we doing here? You know, so, and they're like, "Arey, but we are a bookshop, you know, or whatever. We're just clearing this out for you. I just want to break that wall. You know, I just want to break that one wall." But we've rehearsed for 4 months. You know, that's the kind of
Yeah, but I'll need the shop after 3 hours after you're gone. So
3 hours
I'll
after you're
need
gone. Then what will they do after that? The wall, then we'll have to build it. Build the wall. Then, you know.
This is our last week, Kunal.
This is our last week.
So please have a lovely, lovely rest of June, listeners. You are in the middle of a shoot,
I am
and
desert.
you are in the desert. I'm in Calcutta. Eventually, we will meet in Bombay at some point.
Yes.
And till then, wherever you are in the world, please send us photos, odd things that are going on. We have no friends, so our listeners are only friends. So we have not.
Yeah.
We are not on summer holiday. We are not getting a summer holiday this year. So if you are listeners, please send us fun things from your summer holiday, ridiculous things from your summer holiday. Send it to our Instagram. Send it to us. We're at our last week at audiomatic.in, patreon.com/our last week. I'm going to spend the rest of the afternoon negotiating with a man standing on a bamboo pole behind my window, which you were able to see through the podcast, Kunal.
I did.
So, what will you spend the rest of the afternoon doing?
I am going to head into the shoot. Thankfully, I don't have to be fully naked. It's not one of those naked dinner sort of things. It's just a
You're very lucky.
Normal day of shoot.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
But hopefully the audience will your audience always wants to see more nudity from you. So hopefully that will come.
Yeah. It's on its way.
Much needed. Or we'll send Pushpal Roy. Get naked!
Show it, Kunal. Show it.
Short. By Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
You were listening to Our Last Week, produced by Rajesh Tahil and Avdut Khanolkar, hosted by Anubhav Pal and Kunal Roy Kapoor, assistant producer Akanksha Kadam.